Restaurant workers of Reddit. What is the worst thing you have seen done to a customer's order? At my last restaurant job, my coworker would make very ugly sundaes for customers who were rude. For particularly nice customers, she would painstakingly recreate the sundaes in the menu pictures and give them extra cream and sprinkles. Tampering with food is not that common. I've been in the business a long time and only worked with one girl who spat in someone's food. Another server saw her and she got reported and fired immediately. The only other thing that sometimes happens is when people get cocky and ask for extremely spicy food, the kitchen staff turns into evil geniuses. A guy once asked me for wings so spicy that they would give a woman a miscarriage. I relayed those lovely instructions to the kitchen and I don't know what they did, but the sauce was burning my nose and making my eyes water as I carried it out. He was not able to finish his wings. Some Indian guys came in one time and asked for us to make their food as spicy as possible. I told them that's going to be extremely spicy and wanted to make sure they knew what they were asking for. They went on a long rant about how Indian restaurants are the only places that actually know what spicy is and anything we bring out isn't going to be close to how spicy they like their food. So I had the owner come over to tell them that we'll try our best, but there won't be any refund on this food if it's too spicy. So we made them chicken fried rice with Trinidad scorpion peppers. After 2 bites and about 10 glasses of soy milk later, they ordered something else. I had a buddy at McDonald's, a real chaotic type, who every once in a while would say, "Oh hey, guess what time it is? Pickle surprise," and put a whole handful of pickles on a random cheeseburger. Pour the whole tray of drinks over a guest twice. International trade fair with students as waiters. First time was an accident. Second time she was so nervous she was practically shaking and spilled the drinks again on the same guy. I worked at a popular fast food chain in my younger years. It was my first time with closing shift and we were all doing our part to clean and prep the store. I see this lady with a mop and bucket come out of the back, slop it onto the griddle and start mopping it. I was appalled. I went and told the manager and she tells me, well, that's the quickest way to clean it, then scolded me for worrying about things that didn't concern me. I quit that job next day and then called the district office and told them what happened. That location closed down not long after. But the franchise still exists. I know a guy that pissed in a bucket of pickles. He would have never been caught if he didn't talk about it. Edit. There were other things going on at that McDonald's that helped ruin the reputation. It was also competing with another well-managed restaurant in a town that never really had room for both of them. The guy I'm talking about was just one of the most immature teenagers I've known. The funny thing is that he's married to my sister now and has a much better job than me. He slowly transformed into a responsible adult after having a child. I haven't worked in a restaurant in over 15 years. I never messed with anyone's food because that is assault. What I used to do to snotty Karen types is give them a senior discount and announce to the table when I dropped the check that I remembered to add the senior discount. Worked in a deli for a few years. I never tampered with anyone's food, but if you were a dick I guaranteed your bread was over-toasted. The lettuce on your sandwich was wilted. The tomato was the butt end with the hole from us removing the core. Your onions were little pieces. The meat was the smallest of the portions, and on and on. I wouldn't tamper with someone's food, but I damn well wasn't making them a good sandwich. And all of that goes the exact opposite way with the customers I liked. Always gave them the best product to the point they would wait for me to help them. Worked in a fast food pizza joint. Nothing without consent of the customer happened, but customers ask some weird stuff. One time a customer asked for extra chili and emphasized a lot, so of course we put like a lot on it. Another person wanted chicken legs and wanted it extra crisp. He kept sending it back until it was pretty much burned, which is when he found it perfect. The worst one was a woman asked to put her pasta in a blender, because she had just gotten prosthetics and couldn't properly eat. It looked disgusting. How do I turn off the notifications for this thread? Wanted extra mayo, so I maliciously complied by drenching it. Lady thought I would forget her fake $10 prayer tip the last time she was there. I worked in a very well-known fast food chain for a while. My favorite example of this actually involved nothing. The person who bought food had been rude to staff on multiple occasions. The person serving went to get their food, popped round the corner in a noticeable way, then returned having done nothing. He gave the food to him with a huge grin on his face and said, "Enjoy." He then watched the person throw it in the bin when he went outside. Worked in restaurants for over 10 years. It's pretty rare that you see people mess with someone's food, but it does happen occasionally. The most memorable was once when a customer made a waitress cry complaining about their food and sent it back. The chef farted on the remake. It got a lot of laughs. More common is if a customer is an asshole. When they order dessert, you find the smallest slice of cheesecake you can. The worst thing I ever did to a rude customer was give them, exactly, what they want. "Oh, you were a huge bitch to my staff and ask for extra pickles? You get 25 pickles. I have cooked for 20 years and have never heard of or seen someone spit in food or do anything gross like that. That is simply not cool, and not what we are about." Teenagers in fast food may be the exception to this rule, but I sure fucking hope not. I saw a waiter pour an orange juice, take a big swig with his lips on the rim, top it up, then take it to the table. Worked at a 50s-style diner. Was prepping the chicken breasts for our burgers and dropped a tray of 50 and they slid right under the grill, easily the dirtiest place in the whole restaurant. And #X200B. My boss saw and had me pick them all up, rinse them with water and re-season then and stick them back in the fridge. This isn't really bad. But a lot of the times when people send food back and there's clearly nothing wrong with it, the chefs will just rearrange the food on the plate, wait a minute or two and then send it out to the table. The funniest part is when the customer says that it's better. When I was a pizza delivery driver, when habitual non-tippers ordered, I wouldn't cut their pizza all the way through. Not a restaurant, but sometimes if a customer at my grocery store is being an asshole, I'll put their bananas or bread on the bottom of the cart so they get squished. I worked in restaurants for 10+ years and never saw anybody intentionally fucking with a customer's food. Honestly, it's just not that common, in my experience. Worked at a movie theater for a while. Our pizzas came frozen in a large bag of many pizzas, so the contents sometimes got shifted around during shipping. One dude was acting like it was the end of the world because he got there late, hungry, and had to wait in line. He ordered a pepperoni pizza, so my coworker went to the freezer, pulled out a pizza with one slice of pepperoni on it, and tossed that sucker into the oven. The guy eventually got a refund, but that must have felt good to see the reaction from him. When I bartended, the worst thing I ever did to an order was pour a legal pour instead of being generous. The worst way I treated a customer was that once I refused to pick up the 2 dimes and a nickel he tried to tip me for his $14 drink, and when he said, "Hey, my man, this is for you," I replied with a terse, "Keep it, you clearly need that money more than I do. People don't fuck with your food or drink, that's our job. We take pride in that. If you piss us off, we'll just refuse to serve you." I worked for Applebee's for 7 years, and not until my last year did I witness this act. One of the cooks would drop down to 1 pair of tongs for the grill station for closing. He used the same tongs for raw chicken, beef, seafood, and cooked food. He would swish the tongs in his sanitizing solution, that looked like soup since he never changed it, claiming that it was good after that. I called him out on it and he told me that he never told me how to cook, so I should let him be. I told management too and it was swept under the rug like everything else. I quit shortly after, but that was the only time I witnessed something fucking disgusting like that. Not food related. I worked at a restaurant that had a free photographer. They would print little postcards for free, but if you wanted the pictures printed they would charge a surplus for the printing. They used Photoshop to make the prints, so the artists would touch up the pics that they took before printing. Well, I had a party of 20 come in. A wedding party. They were super rude and only tipped $7 on their $500 check. I gave all $7 to the photographer, and he made the bride look fat. The worst thing I did was to this one guy that I already didn't like and he was being kind of an asshole. I overcooked his eggs. There were only 3 things I'd ever do as a waitress. Stingy ice cream if your kids were brats, bigger serve if they were well behaved. One table were extremely racist to my colleague, so I was given their table and they were so nice to me. So I overcooked their free brownie so it was burnt in some spots, put too much chocolate topping on their brownie so it was sickly sweet and very hard to eat. If they had complained I wouldn't pleaded ignorant about burning it and would have said I was being nice with the extra topping. Back in college I worked in a fast food kitchen. We would make shitty, rude customers' orders with hate instead of indifference. Seriously, messing with people's food is fucked up. Don't do it. Worked in restaurants for more than a decade. Never saw food getting fucked with, nor did I do it. As we always said, the food shouldn't suffer because the person who ordered it is a cunt. I worked in the restaurant business for a decade and I never did anything to the food of others. Messing with the food of others is a really shitty thing to do. Although I really enjoyed the movie Waiting. One time I ordered a liter of cola and the kid working the register secretly poked a hole in the cup. If you are a bitch to baristas at Starbucks, you will get decaf espresso shots in your latte, cap, frap, whatever. If you ordered tea, they will not shake it. This is the way. I worked at Sonic. A lady complained and there was a wire bread tie in her burger. That still bugs me. You have no idea how much French fry sampling is going on. You are not getting all the fries you pay for. Ever. Never seen anybody intentionally mess with a guest's food. But at Benihana I have seen numerous different cooks go and down a couple shots of whiskey and then ride the lightning before walking out to cook in front of an entire family. Was over 10 years ago. I worked at a golf course restaurant. One of my female co-workers had some crude shit said to her by one of the old golfers. Something along the lines of, with an ass like that you shouldn't be in the kitchen, you should be on the course serving us beers. Then he ordered a ham sandwich on the turn to the back nine. She licked the fuck out of that ham before putting it on the sandwich, then wrapped it in saran wrap, punched it, and went out and handed it to him herself. I worked at a Taco Bell that used to be a combo Taco Bell and Pizza Hut, so it had this hood for the oven that was no longer there. One super tall guy used to rest his gloved hands up there between orders then make food. Once, to prove a point, I wiped it down to show him how dirty it was. He said, "Great, now it's clean." Also, night shift would put dirty cardboard boxes on the fryer area to put the fried food to cool so they could wash the tray. There was once a footprint on the box. I have more stories. Don't eat fast food at night. Not a customer but a coworker had her chicken tenders dropped in a cleaning bucket and then kicked down the cook's line. Kitchens near colleges really were a place of horror. I worked at Papa John's as a teenager. There was this one particular old dude that was loud and rude to whoever helped him every single time. He showed his ass immediately to this new guy and told him, "There better not be a fucking pepper in my box or me and you will have a problem," and the new dude was visibly upset. You know those little peppers that come with pizzas. So I grabbed the biggest juiciest one and was going to put it in the box beside the old guy's, but I may or may not have accidentally squeezed it a bit. Some of the juice may or may not have leaked all over the guy's food while I was carrying it over to the next box, and I may or may not have noticed. Oops. I used to work at a local pizza restaurant in a town known for its pizza. The cook always carried around a dirty, stained brown rag he would use to wipe his hands and sweat off his face, blow his nose into. On multiple occasions I've seen him let the rag touch the pizza while he was preparing it. Not a restaurant, but the prepared food section of a highly regarded grocery store. Someone forgot to toss the old potato salad that was on its 4th day. It needs to be thrown out at the end of the 3rd day. We were supposed to keep track of this stuff religiously. The manager told my coworker to just mix it in with the brand new stuff, so people were eventually being given 6-day-old potato salad. I guess worse things could have happened, but I'm squeamish about food, so it really bothered me. I didn't tamper with food, but if you were in a $dollar hole I would spill water on you. Had a couple of people who came in 3-4 days a week, were nasty mean and never tipped. Every single server they had spilled a pitcher of water on them over a 2-week period every time they came in. They finally got the hint. Don't be mean to people trying to do their stressful job. Don't want to tip? At least be kind. I used to manage a barbecue restaurant and I worked opening shift on Sundays. For whatever reason the church crowd people were the worst. They would come into the restaurant and rearrange my lobby almost every Sunday. So when they ordered their food, I'd charge them for every single item instead of meals. If they ordered a sandwich and wanted an extra pickle I'd charge them the 0.15 for an extra pickle, and the same went for every little petty thing I could find. A lady once asked me to put her spaghetti pasta in a blender and serve it to her as a paste. She was in her early 30s and didn't look like she was sick or had any other problem. When I said no she looked at me and said that the guest is always right, so I took her pasta, put it in a blender, made a smudge of it and gave her the paste of what it became. She took 2 spoons of it and couldn't eat it, so she left her plate like that. I felt bad for the pasta. A cook was cooking mushroom tagliatelle. The pan fell to the floor with all the tagliatelle. He simply took the pasta back in his pan and continued to cook as if nothing happened. After working in restaurants and seeing a lot of bad things, I don't eat in restaurants anymore. Edit. I was a colleague. Worked at a restaurant overseas and we never cleaned the dishes because of water pricing. All we did was wipe it down with a towel. It felt sticky and disgusting. The manager dog would also drink from the same bowl we made salad from. One time the drool of the dog went into a customer salad. I had a customer rudely berate me in front of the whole restaurant because I didn't prioritize her over other tables. I had a full section and was giving everyone equal attention, and doing quite well. Everyone got their food and drinks on time and with a smile. This lady was just on a serious power trip. She said, "If you can't handle a job as easy as this one, you must be a real loser." I offered free chips and salsa as compensation for her perceived delays, which she accepted with a, "Hopefully you'll bring it before tomorrow." I brought it out immediately and then proceeded to trip and fall, dousing her and her white sweater in salsa. Oops. It was delightful. Never fuck with people's food. Sometimes they get decaf coffee but that's it. Worked in a national fast food taco joint. Not the Ringer. The other one that is a first name, and had a manager hawk a loogie and a burrito. Nobody to complain to because she was the boss. After she finished making the order she immediately went for a smoke break and I remade the food. I had an acquaintance, we hung out with the same people but didn't care for each other, who worked at the underground train sandwich place. He would pee in the pickle bucket, ejaculate into the mayo, and for fun take pennies from the register, place them between his ass cheeks and work for a while, then put the pennies back in the register. He later worked at a sit-down restaurant and would rub potatoes in his ass as he was wrapping them to be baked. Great guy. There was this one guy who insisted I pour cream sauce over his wiener schnitzel. What a monster. Saw a coworker throw a hot dog onto a greasy floor, step on it, throw it back on the grill and then serve it. The customer was treating one of our waitresses like total garbage, continually hitting on and demeaning her. He did clean the grill and utensils after. I was 14/15 and didn't really see a problem at the time.